Hello. This is part 2 of my Anker website build, where I've taken Anker's boring sales page and made it more engaging using Pinegrow and their GSAP interactions. So in this stream, I'll be building out the kind of hero section and adding some on-load animations as well as some on-scroll animations. And we'll also be going over how I create different images, including new image formats, including WebP and AVIF. I've done a video on that, which I'll leave a link to, but we go over it in here as well, so it's just quite useful to see it in kind of action. We're going to jump right into building the hero here, so if you haven't checked out part 1, I'll leave a link to that. But otherwise, sit back, relax, and observe how I go about building a website, and hopefully, you'll learn a thing or two. Oh, and before we kick into it, I'll leave a link to my community where we discuss all things web. And I also offer weekly time slots to talk about whatever you want to talk about. And actually, depending on when this video goes out, so I'm doing my first live meet and greet in the Discord community on April 4th. That's 4 p.m, 4:30 UK time. So there's an event kind of in the Discord. So just click that when you've joined. And finally, if you haven't checked out my book, I'll leave a link to that below too. I've got a header main. Let's add a insert. Let's have a section. Again, if I pop our design up. So we've got a section, we've got a I'm trying to work out whether the Anker Pro Smarter, Faster, Harder, whether that's I'm going to go heading and a paragraph. And let's swap those round. And then we have our images. So I think this is kind of a subject that I was keen to talk about, and we're going to go a step further a bit later on with the kind of more up-to-date images like WebP and stuff. But what I like to do is with these, I like to create my design as PNGs or JPEGs first and get all those done, just because it's a lot of extra code, a lot of extra work to kind of set up the fallbacks and all the rest of it, especially when you're playing around with design and various things like that. It has got, I guess once you know it, it gets a bit quicker, but let's go with it. I'll show you how we do images here and how we make sure we support all the formats, and kind of explain a bit how the picture element works. So let's do it. So we have our kind of section, hero section. We have our content in here. What we can do? No, let's do the CSS first. So it's actually a bit hard in Pinegrow. I think I might have to resort to writing it directly in the code. So I'm looking for a picture element. I don't think interactive head. Yeah. So look, we have to go into the HTML. So which is kind of a bit easier sometimes. So we've got our paragraph. Here we go. We've got our section. We've got our paragraph. I think we can have the blue background. I think we have the blue background as a picture, which will set the height and the width. So let me just have a little dig around for our images. That'll do. Let's take a moment to talk about images, okay? Images are huge. Like, images are a big topic because you not only need to think about the quality, the compression, the physical dimensions, serving different images at different breakpoints, so you're not serving like a 4,000 wide image on a kind of 320 width screen or whatever on like a mobile phone or whatever. So it's just a lot. It just gets very, very, very confusing. So this image here is rendering out at, come on, here we go, 1785 by 729.8. You can see that in the top left of the screen there. That's what it's rendering out as. But this image is double that size. I know it's double that size because I just downloaded it. It's like 3,800. In fact, let's go to it. Let's hedge a bet. So the image size that I downloaded is 3,840. What's the rendered size here? 1785. 1785 times 2 is 3,570. I'm using a 14-inch display. They might have been looking at a 16-inch. But I'm willing to bet that they have got their kind of the size of their image that they want it display really nicely at. Let's say it's a 16-inch MacBook Pro. We say, right, what's the browser width of a 16-inch MacBook Pro? In fact, what is the browser? So let's do 16-inch MacBook Pro screen pixels. Let's have a look. 3072. Viewport size 1536. 3072. Yeah, 3072. So that's actually what the width of the browser is. So let's say you create your images at 1500 1536. You create them like that in Figma, but you should also provide your images double that size. So for that image to display crisp on a double density retina display, yes, the physical dimensions will be 1536, but because the resolution is so high, it can see those individual pixels and you'll see it appear blurry. So whilst non-retina screens are becoming few and far between, not as common, we need to provide the single density and the double density version of that image. I hope that makes sense, but already I guess we're starting to see the complexity of how we should deal with images on the internet. So oftentimes the Figma is just a single density version of the design, and all the pixel images are the actual size that they want to be, which, let's say it's MacBook Pro, it's 1536. So we need to think of this stuff as 1536. Let's just put that into sort of practice here, because we need to give images a width and a height. So 1536 by well, actually, no, let's just go to because I know this is a retina size version of the image. The retina size of this background image is 3,840. So if we do 3,840 divided by 2, that's 1,920. So the width is 1,920. Because again, we shouldn't be thinking of double density. We shouldn't be thinking of the double density, the retina version of the image. And then the height is 1,570, so divided by 2, that's 785. So these are the single density widths which we need to take into consideration. CSS is taking care of the responsive nature, but this is just to satisfy Google right now. So we're giving it a width and a height, so there's no kind of jumping around. As soon as the CSS loads, it's the correct size and all the rest of it. So that's that. Now, we need to provide a single density version of this image. So what we're going to do is, let's share my screen just a second. Let's go entire screen, and let's go here. These are my images. In fact, let's just put it there so it's not confusing. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to give that hero background. A common convention is to put at 2x below it. Let's duplicate that and remove the at 2x. So now we've got a single density version. Let's go into our tools, or just the size, and then just go %, 50%. Now we have a single density version that's not as, not as hungry for downloads, basically. So how do we do that? So the way we do it is go picture, and then we first of all provide the. You can imagine this as like it's similar to the video element. If you've ever used the video element, you provide a video thing here, and then the sources, and it's almost like the source sort of populates this image component, this image thing here. So we have all our base, all our styles, everything attached to this image, and then the source actually does all the figuring out of which image it should do. So we've got this one. Let's hero BG. Is that not updated yet? Hero BG. BG.jpg. Is that not saved as? There we go. So we've got that. Now we want to provide the double density version if it happens. So what we need to do in the source, we provide the link, images, hero bg.j. I think it's like that at the moment. And then we provide a resolution. Okay, so I think it's just literally just 2x. So what that's doing is loading. If it's got a 2x, which we do, then it's going to load that version of the screen. Whereas if it doesn't, it's just basically this is just the fallback, and then if any of these rules apply, we're going to swap them out. Right, this is as far as I'm going to go with this specific instance right now, because of course we've got WebP images, so we need to take care of that. But let's just double check all that's working, because I'm not 100% convinced right now. Reload our thing. So what I'm doing is I'm loading our web page here. You can see the image is loaded, which is great. But if we go into network, we can see which one's loaded. So the single density version is actually the one that's loaded, not our double density. I would expect the double density one to load here. Oh, that's why, because we're going at 2x. We need to do that. Double check that's the name of the file. Hyphen at 2x. Cool. So something's loading. There we go. So that's now the X2X version is loading. So I don't have a single density non-retina display, but this is enough to tell me right now that this is actually working. If I comment that source out and refresh, you can see that that is doing that, falling back to that. But you can see now, there we go. We're getting a double density retina display. Let's leave it there for now, and let's talk about the WebP versions a little bit later on. So we have our background, and now what's cool is that we know that this is going to scale with the browser. Now we can work over the top of this. So let's go with that. So let's go to this section here and give it a class of hero. We want this to be position relative, and that's probably about it. And now if we wrap the content in a div, and position this absolute, hero content. Now we can do top 50%. Thinking about the design, if I flick that on for you, oh, it's already there. So this is like 25% of the way through the page. So let's just do 25% like that. And now we want to transform that back upwards to transform. We want to go minus 50%, so it's in the middle. There we go. I think to me that's a bit too much, so we're going to go 15%, maybe even 10%. That's cool. That's cool. Now let's get the font weights and all the rest of it for these. So once again, we're focusing on the markup and the HTML before we think of the CSS. So as you can see, the heading 1 here is massive. The heading, what we're going to use is Anker Nano Pro. The H1 is thicker and bigger than the paragraph text, but actually the paragraph text stylistically is bigger, and so we kind of we're flipping the kind of logic around a little bit. So let's start designing this H1. See, again, I'm looking in their version, they've put the Anker Nano Pro as a paragraph. Now I wonder if they've even got a H1, and this is what I question about these kind of massive websites. It's like, why they're not even able to do their HTML, write their HTML correctly. So anyway, let's keep going. So I'm pretty sure, well, we can, in normal circumstances I wouldn't really do this, but we're just going to rely on the H1 here, and because I don't know whether every single H1 is going to be that size of this on the screen, but that's what we're doing here. Now we want to do the font weight 400, because if we look up to our font faces here, we're only using 2 Whitneys, and they're named exactly the same, but they're differentiated by the font weight. So 400 is obviously thin, 500 is obviously kind of thicker. We want to set a base weight basically, so that whatever we create, so the font weight is 400. So we could set the base font weight as 400, and that way we don't have to do this. Just all about writing less code. Okay, so we probably do, because it's a H1. We then need to override it again. So that's cool. That makes sense. And let's just change that text to Anker Nano Pro. Looking good. Anything else that we need to do for this piece of text? It's got a line height of 1.5. Color is black. That's fine. No, it's not actually, because I remember setting the color. Let's create a variable. Color black. I think that's good there. Now let's look at the faster, smarter, harder. So this is a font size of, let me hide this for you. So hero text, this is a font size of 4 VW. And font weight of probably 500. Color of black. And line height of 4 VW as well. I think that's about it. Yep. And now let's change the text. I think it's going to be easier just to do it in here. So often what people do is use a BR tag to break it, but actually that is weird. It sounds weird for screen readers. You normally use those for kind of poems, when there's like natural breaks in the text. You wouldn't say faster, smarter, safer. Well, actually, you know what? You might. A BR might be sensible here, because it's not a full stop. It's not faster, smarter, safer, like as in a sentence. There's no commas there. So actually, I'm going to go for BR. Can do that. And then BR, safer. Why are you whinging now? Faster, BR. Does it not like that? Here we go. We'll do that. Cool. Now there looks like there's a little margin or something on there, so let's cool. Compare that. So there's no, and maybe there's a margin on here. Which we can get rid of. Now, let's get to the fun stuff, which is I think interactions, because these are I stopped when I first started looking into interactions, I was a bit kind of just learning them. Last time I streamed, rather, I was learning them, and they were fun. But I think once I really dug into it with building a few more sites in Pinegrow, oh man, it's so much nicer to do interactions here than it is on Webflow, and then actually using GSAP on its own. So let's dig into that and let's start having some fun here. So what we're going to do is now we're going to, again, let's just work with normal images. And then we can play around with the various different versions a bit later on. So I've got we've got the middle part here, we've got the top, and we've got kind of like, where is that background? There we go, we've got the back there. And what that's going to do is, if I drag this up, I've broken out all of these individual things, so we've got some layers going on, and we're going to kind of play with these layers. I guess we haven't done the shop now button, but that's boring stuff. So let's get cracking and see what we can do with these different layers. So the first layer is hero back. We'll do that one first. Then we have hero middle. And then we have hero top. Now let's place these. Let's try and place these correctly. Wherever they are. There we are. So these all need to be now position absolute. Let's try hero layered images. Create that. And then position absolute. We want a width 100%. And we want height to be auto. Position top. Okay, looking good. Let's double check. Yep. So looking good. Now let's make the hero overflow hidden. So this is already kind of looking okay. What we need to do with these as well is there's a kind of, not a bug, but a weird thing that means that if there's like a margin bottom, there you go. You see it disappear. So that's looking all right, kind of already. And that's our kind of default position. That's, I guess, where we want to kind of it to settle to or settle into. What's going on here with regards to basically where's our header gone? The fixed header is kind of floating over the top of the hero. So what I'll do, let's find out how big that header is. It is 56. So we just need to do a margin top of 56. There it is. Cool. So let's play with some. Well, actually, what I want to do is, if we go top, we want to give that an opacity of Go here. We want to give that opacity of 0.9 so that you can start to see that background behind it. Let's go 5, 6. But the problem is you can start to see this go grey and stuff, so that's not what we want. But so what I want to do is duplicate this and put it right at the back and have that there, so then we've got that solid thing behind it. And now every time we want to animate this specific one, let's give them IDs. Here, ID, hero, top, and back, middle. Let's just give them IDs just to help us out a little bit. Right, let's play with some interactions. So let's first of all activate our interactions, and now we've got a new folder with Pinegrow, and I think we have jQuery now. Pinegrow interactions is there. No, we don't. Not using jQuery, which is amazing. First of all, let's. I mean, what I've done is on the example site, we've got them animating in, and then we've got some scroll scene. Let's play with the scroll scene stuff first, because these are very fun. Control animations based on the position of the element. If we enable JavaScript, we can see kind of where we are. We can see our markers as well. We can show those. Let's play with that as well so we can kind of see them. Looks like we need to have a bit of a z-index. So the z-index on this hero header. Cool. So we're not getting any. We should basically. I'm looking at this progress bar here. Let's play with this. Describe when the scene elements center. So when this element center. No. When the start reaches this, we want the body. So when it starts there you see that progress thing start, and now we're cooking on gas. And then the assumption is the end will be when it's off the screen, but let's when the end of the element reaches the scrollers. End? Here we go. Oh, it's never going to reach the end, is it? So we're going to have to leave that one. How do we remove that? Okay, well that seems to work. Okay. Cool. Now with that, we want to edit the animation. And this is where it gets beautiful, because all we need to do is, in fact, what I'm going to do is copy that and add it onto the hero itself. Just copy and then paste. Because then, when we go here and delete that, we do everything in here. And this it's the same thing. We edit the animation, and now we choose the specific one we want to move. So let's start with this one. And now we want to move the y-axis. So we just do this, y-axis. And how much do we want to move it to move to? Probably want it to move -10. I mean, you do you, whatever you want to do. But now you can see that background moving. Now we want to apply that So if we go here, edit selector, nth of type 1 and nth of type 4, so we're just moving them both together. Oh, there's a problem with our selector. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's edit that, see what's going on. That should work. I'm not quite sure why that's not working. Let's put 3. Okay, something's... Let's do this and then duplicate this and then select it and see what nth of type it comes up with. Okay, whatever. Now you've got both of them moving. 10 is probably a bit much, so let's reduce that to 5. Okay, maybe a bit too much there as well, but I would say then the phone just needs to move a little bit faster. So let's just duplicate that. And now we select the phone, which is the middle. And then we'll have that go up 10. Kind of seems to be moving up the same pace. Unless I've duplicate that. Something up here. This isn't the phone. This should be the middle. You can kind of see it's jumping around, but I think that's because we've got some selection issues going on here. So there's the middle, which is the phone. You can see at the bottom left here is highlighting in green. So that should be the top, and it should also be the other top, which is not. So let's just do that. And then this is the back. Cool. There we go. You can see now that that's moving. Now, it's still moving a bit too fast for my liking. Unless we do the X, transform the X. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but let's do that. That's cool. That's cool. Let's leave it at that. That's quite cool. So as you can see, quite quickly we're playing with the Pinegrow interactions. So we've got that going now. I would really like to clean up this a little bit. So we've got the middle there, which is doing one thing, but all these seem to be doing the same thing. So that's nth of type. Nth of type 1, 1, 1, 4, 1, and 2. So I kind of just want to go like this, because you can do this. 4, 1, and 2. So that seems to have worked. Let's delete these. Double check that's the one, which it has, so it doesn't go on yellow. It's not liking it. Okay, I think I'm just going to have to suck it and see. I just wanted to refine that a little bit. So we didn't have all these. I'm sure there's a way, but for the sake of time, let's not worry too much about it. Cool. And now all our animations are controlled here, which is good on this one. So there's something not right there. Oh. Cool. So now let's do one where when it starts, we kind of animate all these in. So this is going to be another interaction now. So we've got our scroll scene. Let's do another interaction. And the trigger is going to be when it loads. Now, target, this is fine. Animation, we want to edit these. And now we want to start. Let's animate, go boom, boom, boom with the smarter, safer, faster, smarter, safer. Let's go boom, boom, boom with this. So they're probably going to be needed to be wrapped in span. So let's quickly just do that. And that's fine. Because we just want them in their own elements. So let's click on that interaction there. And start playing around with things. So first of all, we want to hide these two on at the start. Now when we turn off JavaScript, we don't see that. So let's do that. So because now we've hidden these at the start, we need to obviously fade them in. We need to bring them in. So let's select our H1 here and let's tween the opacity using auto opacity. Let's bring it in so that when we cool, so that kind of loads. And then the same for this as well. Let's duplicate that and then target the hero text. So once again, turning that off. And I think we want to hide these as well. In fact, let's remove the hide at start there and add the hide at start on all these. And now we're going to select all elements with span. So let's go hero text, all elements with span, like that, all the span elements. And then with this, we want to stagger. 0.250 is quite a nice number. So now, so you can see those stagger in. It's a bit jittery. I'm not sure if that's coming through well on the stream. It's a bit jittery on here, but there we go. I quite like that actually. I quite like that. So we're staggering these in. This is sort of, let's name this interaction just because then we know what we're referring to. So hero intro. Let's just do that. And then this is different from actually the parallax. That's on a separate interaction. So now we've got a bit of separation here. And we can even still animate these on the intro as well. So by doing this, let's go to our middle. Let's once again hide on start. Turn our JavaScript off. And with this, let's set the X. Let's just do -VW, like that. So we're setting that, and then we're adding a tween to say, let's bring it in, X to 0. So we're bringing it into the position that we've offset it to 5 VW, and then we're bringing it into its resting place, its default place. So over that period of time. we need to. Oh, and also because we hid it, we need to do auto opacity to 1, which is there. So there we go. Let's have a look at what this. There we go. How cool is that? Like, super. I think this is way more intuitive than Webflow's interactions. I suppose because I want that sort of fine tune. I just want it to be more fine tuned. So let's duplicate that. I wish we could do all of them, or maybe we can do not. I'm just trying to think whether we select all the images but then say not the background or the top one. But what we'll do this, and we'll have this side coming in, so they just come together. Let's have a look. Let's have a think. This to target section hero, we don't do that. Plain selector, prefix to target element, we don't do any prefix to selector to target closest matching. Yeah, we don't have a like a not. Oh, we can do not here. So if we do image, if we do image, all images within there. Whoops. If we do all images in here, because we've got selectors, and then we've got not. We want. We might need an ID on that one, but anyway, not hero middle. That should be cool. That's kind of cool, but what we want to do, I mean, of course we want to hide them all at the start as well, because we want to fade them in. Hide at start. Not hero middle. Let's see if that's just a Pinegrow thing. I think we need to delay this, make this on page load, just because the images haven't loaded and the and they're kind of popping in. That's better. It's a lot better. That looks good. Let me show you what that looks like on my end. See that? Cool. That looks pretty cool. I suppose I'd be keen to do the image kind of fallback thing now. Because we have this animating in, which I think looks cool. And hopefully so we still got that parallax. See, even though it animates in, we still have that parallax, which is awesome. So cool. Let's clear all this away. And let's look at how I would go about. In fact, I need to do the screen. How I would go about making these images WebP, and there's a new format called Avif or Avif. I don't know what it's called, but we can support that as well. Safari doesn't actually support it, but Edge does. So first of all, I've got this WebP converter here, which is my kind of the way I annoyingly you have to select that to change it, which is probably what most people are going to do. But if I get all my hero and my logo, hero back, all these I want to and it will place them where it got those images from. So if I convert those, you'll see, here we go. So it's just asking me where I want to put them. Let's make sure we're in the right folder. Anker, images. If we do that, you'll see, right, it's converting them. Now these images are already compressed for the web. My normal flow is to take the raw, high quality image from sort of Figma or Photoshop or whatever is being created, and take the biggest quality image that you have at the right size, specifically the right size. So that's where it kind of gets kind of crazy now, because this is again double density. So what we should be doing as well now is, see, now I've even forgotten it. This is how it gets super confusing. So logo is fine. We can leave the logo. Logo is fine, but let's just take these. These are fine because we've got the single density and the double density, but this, the back, the middle, and the top. So we need to differentiate these by going, these are the double density ones, okay? Now, by duplicating them, and if we go like this, opening it back up and making this half the size, so I've made these half the size. Now we're in a position to convert these. So we want to convert the double density and the single density versions of all these images to WebP. Yeah. And the other thing, the other thing we want to do is there's a node package that converts files to AVIF or AVIF, right? So if we're in the, so and you do it through your terminal. I'm sure there are other ways, but for me this is the quickest one. And it, if I navigate to the folder where my images are, you don't need to download anything. You just got to put npx. If you've got Node and npm installed, you can do npx and then avif and then type in an input. Okay, and here is where I would drag my image that I wanted to convert to an avif, right? So there's my single density back, and then I want my double density back. You want to do the PNG versions, not the WebP versions. So if I do, that's the first one, so you can see that it's converted it there. You see the size difference, 6 kilobytes versus the PNG, which is 289 kilobytes, which the WebP is 26. So AVIF is just such a good format, such a good format. So this is what we want to do to all our images. So get the double density one, npx avif input equals, and then where is it? I'm getting, it's so confusing looking at all these images. There we go. Enter. Let's look at the double density one. It's saying 0. Is it not finished yet? Doesn't look like it's finished yet. There we go. So the double density one, 55. So 500 to 55 to 8. That is just crazy. That is crazy. So hence why we're doing all of these versions as AVIF. So I'm just going to go through all these now and convert them, and I'll show you what we do in the HTML in just a second. Cool. So we've converted all those. I'm just going to quickly. Well, let's do the logo first, right? So we've got our picture, we've got our fallback. Now, to get the WebP version, because we've only got WebP version for this image, we just need to set a type. So if it supports WebP, then what image do we want to load? So in image logo.webp. That's all we need to do for this. I'm checking that works. So if, am I sharing my screen right now? I think I am. So with this, you can see it's still loading. If I go to inspect, network, you can see the logo WebP is now being loaded. If I didn't have that, the PNG logo is loading. So that's kind of as simple as it is. Bring it down here. So with that being said, we go down to our images here. So we've got our double density one. Now we create another fallback. So type web image WebP. If it's double density, then we want to load the double density version. If not, then we load the normal version, WebP. So I'm just going to double check that. What was that? That was hero background. So again, I'm just double checking down here. The double density WebP version is loading. Again, it's a bit annoying because I don't have a regular screen to do this, but now we get to the avif. Avif, same thing. So now if I refresh, so now you can see there's the WebP version. Now if I refresh this, because Edge supports avif, we should get the avif version, which we're not. Let's just double check everything. Let's actually open up in Chrome. I'm pretty sure so hero background, there's the avif, hero background. So actually Edge doesn't support avif, which is interesting. Hero background, but we want the double density version, unless this is not a... Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, so this, for whatever reason, isn't being recognized as double density. I think it's because probably it's a 4K monitor. So yeah, there we go. So there's the avif, there's normal. Refresh it on my monitor down here, it goes 2x. So you can see that that's now working. We're getting our avif loading, which is great. Hero background WebP, it's picking up double density there. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to complain. Sorry, you were looking at my browser there, but I opened it up on Chrome and it was loading the avif version. Cool. So that's kind of it. This is what our picture. It's a faff converting and all the rest of it, but this is essentially what our what we should be doing in terms of our images to support the different formats, different breakpoints, and all the rest of it. So I'm never 100% sure about this one. I like to think that it just will always just fall back to that, but even if we don't do this, so image JPEG like that, and we've got our width and our height, and that's kind of it. Thanks for tuning in. If you got to the end, do let me know in the comments what you learned with a hashtag like Full Stack Agency. It's always nice to know who actually reaches the end of these videos, especially the longer ones. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.